Hello, and be welcome to the world of darkness. Long ago was it that the sin of Cain spawned the cursed horror that stalks the street at night in search of living blood. The kindred have long been a secret influence through all ages of human history, plotting against one another in a never-ending jihad. Their immortal progeny are among us to this day, hidden from the eyes of humanity by an elaborate masquerade.
To set the scene. In the short distance it is to Rebecca Thorne's haven, Thomas finds that as he steps out of the church, there is a carriage waiting for him. Her footman perched atop, waiting for Thomas to climb in. The short distance up the road and around the corner leads him to the front of the doors of the haven of Rebecca Thorne. Upon entering, he is greeted by the sound of piano playing in the room, one of Handel's. The room is obscured in shadows which dance along the walls, the moonlight streaming through the curtains, illuminating the room dimly, providing a sort of bleak, grayish-blue ethereal glow about the place. The entire house is rather quiet. His footsteps seem to echo through the halls, which are clean, the fresh air rushing in his nostrils as he breathes. The footman escorting him into the room where Rebecca waits, announcing his presence. "Miss Thorne, Father O'Connell is here."
Without pausing in her playing, she simply looks over to Mr. Kalana and gives him a nod of the head, suggesting he can leave now.
Bowing deeply, he steps back and then turns to depart the room, leaving the two of them, in order to speak in privacy.
Waiting for a moment, Mr. O'Connell clears his throat. I presume you sent for me for a reason. Could have waited for my reports tomorrow with your brother. But something tells me you have other motives.
Yes, Mr. O'Connell. I do have a reason for sending for you. First, though, tell me, how was your night?
Mr. O'Connell thinks back before saying quickly, dismissively, "It is quite well, miss."
And how was your little foray into the cemetery, and the particular mausoleum? Eventful, I hear.
His cheeks would turn a light strawberry as he pulls the sides of his coat close, feeling caught almost. Clearing his throat, he would say, "Ah, you've heard of that."
She stops in her playing and looks to Mr. O'Connell. Mr. O'Connell, if it regards the cemetery, there is little I do not hear about. She then stands, making her way to one of the sofas before the fireplace, and gestures for him to sit as well across from her.
Setting his walking stick down, Thomas would nod before approaching, saying, "Apologies, I was not watched by anyone, but I promise I had legitimate reasons for what I did."
I do not judge, Mr. O'Connell. I'm simply curious. So tell me, what was this reason?
You have your own divination rituals, and I have mine. Mine require a bit more physicality, and I needed some information, something that you could consider a side mission from your brother's requests. In fact, he says, as he reaches into his notebook and procures the notes he wrote down, setting it out and sliding it down towards her on the table. That is between the two sofas. I thought perhaps you might find this of use.
This will have the entire spell written down as to summoning the creature Amel.
Rebecca would lean forward, sifting through the notes, briefly looking over them.
What she sees is the method by which of summoning a spirit. A main spirit by the name of Amel, requiring not only sacrifice, but a duly large amount of sexual energy, as well as the sacrifice of a human life, being made with a farming implement which had taken the lives of many livestock.
Thomas would wait for her to finish reading before he continues. This was a ritual asked for me to procure by a member of my loose acquaintance, though I figured you and Mr. Thorne might have more use of it than they do.
From these notes, Rebecca is able to gather that this particular spirit is a very powerful one, and likely somewhat by nature more disruptive, or, depending on Rebecca's viewpoint, malevolent. This isn't a spirit of mourning, the spirit of a knife, the spirit of wind, the spirit of stone or trees or concepts. This is a violent and dangerous spirit, but powerful.
After spending a couple moments looking through the notes, she stacks them into a rather neat pile before she reclines back into the sofa. Very interesting. You've done well, Mr. O'Connell. Though, do you have the book from which these notes are taken?
Of course, he says as he sits back. I left it at my home, but I can go get it for you. Figured it was more safe there than on my person, as someone is surely looking for it after my acquiring it.
She nods. Before the beginning of tomorrow night, I would like you to bring it to me.
On that note, he says as he continues on an idea, your brother has tasked me with finding a solution to the barrier at Westminster. And I think with those notes and the ritual and the information I've gathered, we can knock out these objectives at once. You see, a barrier of holy power can be disrupted through less than holy acts, namely small things as putting impure symbols, graffiti, on important places, or through more insidious natures, insidious rituals, summoning, which requires things like murder. While I loathe to get my hands dirty, I'm sure your brother can provide help.
I do think this may be a matter best.
Spoken with him about?
Yes. Though in the future, Mr. O'Connell, please do not interrupt.
Forgive me.
Though if you do have notes on your findings regarding the Abbey, you do well to leave them with me.
And that's another thing, he says as he shuffles around his coat. The acquaintance that put me on these notes is eventually going to want them himself, and though I prefer we summon the spirit and bind it before I deliver the information.
For me to have the capabilities of binding it may take some time, and I do not think to summon it on the grounds of Westminster, when we are unable to set foot there, and thus releasing the spirit with no means of controlling it.
There might be ways of getting you onto Westminster, and controlling it is a simple enough magic. I might be able to instruct you on how to do it.
Tell me, Mr. O'Connell. I understand that you have some manner of mortal noumena that allows you to summon and control spirits. Tell me of its extent, and where you learned it.
I learned it. It's more of a gift I was born with, but I'm sure that one such as yourself is equally gifted in other regards. Where I learned to harness the ability comes from the Society of the Moon.
The Order of the Weeping Moon, I'm aware.
Thomas gives a nod.
Do many of its members practice this sort of magic?
Yes, well, some aren't as gifted with the abilities and talents with spirits. But yes, there are many practitioners, far outclassing my own. But few, I would say, in the city, save for the higher-ups.
And how many would you say are present in London?
Thomas gives a rough estimate. I'd say about 10. At least a dozen, maybe less. Again, it's not a large society, but I'm sure that you understand this information. I would prefer to be kept with us. At least my name kept out of it.
I hardly think my brother has a mind for the occult. But what other things are members of this society capable of?
Well, from what I've seen, they are able to call upon and command spirits. Not of the dead, he would say as he thinks of the word. More of the supernatural, more of elements, objects around us, and able to gain information from those spirits. I am but a young mage, or horned owl, if you would. So, I still have much to learn about the society, though I understand that the elders are quite skilled with spirits and summoning.
Are they able to passively see the likes of spirits and ghosts?
No, I don't believe they've been able to communicate with spirits of the dead themselves. At least, not to my knowledge, nor are they able to perceive them. Though I'm sure, he lets out a sigh. I'm sure with all the information that gathered in their texts, they know of the spirits.
Are any of their powers or abilities so advanced that they are able to cast any manner of ward or protection on their libraries?
I have not seen or felt any protective wards on their premises, but I cannot be sure. As for your existence, I do not believe they know of any vampires of the sort. Anything beyond supernatural of their own understanding. As it were, I was doing my own research, and I did not find any information on vampires, or anything particular of the supernatural beyond the spirits they are able to summon.
What are the tenets of their order? What do they believe?
Their tenets, their belief, is that Luna, which is the god, will descend to the earth and wash away the flawed aspects of creation, and usher in a new era, a new earth. Society keeps a low profile. It's mostly made out of the wealthier individuals of society, and there is a strong fraternal order among the members. We respect each other and try to be kind.
Do you have, or would you be able to obtain any form of text which may provide more in-depth information on the Order's beliefs?
Yes, I believe I myself could probably just jot down the Order's information gathered through the manuals that they called the Yellow Truths, though I cannot bring you a physical copy as of yet. I'm still young in the organization.
She nods. You referred to yourself before as a horned owl.
Yes, it's a rank and position given to the members who are gifted in magic of summoning.
What other positions are there?
Well, beyond the horned owl, I'm also a vestal. That is, I believe, the basic rank that everyone in the order has when you first join. Then you have the leader, which is the revealer of mysteries. I believe he is the highest rank in our society, at least that is currently in London. I'm sure there might be higher than him.
You're referring to Mr. Tobias Lane?
Ah, you've heard of him. Thomas nods.
But briefly.
Only good things, I hope. Though my loyalty is not exactly fully to the Order.
What are your thoughts on the Order?
They are a bit excessive, but otherwise based around the acclamation and spreading of information. I do not believe they hold anything back from newer members, at least when it comes to the magical knowledge. I think that's what originally drew me to them. Thomas holds out his hand for his notebook. I believe something came to me, if you would not mind.
Rebecca closes the notebook, having been flipping through it, and hands it back to him.
After about 5 minutes, give or take, he would hand it back.
She would read what he's written.
The path of the moons. We gather from the moon's lucent bounty. A host of harvested boons. The absent moon offers wisdom and insight, both forgotten and unknown. The horned moon offers those spirit ways and the paths of aberration. The balanced moon offers judgment and the triumph of intellect over emotion. The nascent moon offers silver-tongued grace, and the harvest moon offers strength and prowess. These we pledge to use for the betterment of man. These we pledge to use against those who occlude our goals. These we pledge to use as the stars hang low in the sky, and the coarse howls of devils are heard from the hills. A brotherhood we are, for only by standing united against our opposition can we hope to attain prominence. Ezekiel's chapter from the Yellow Truths.
You told me about, as it says here, the spirit ways. What of these other supposed paths?
Thomas, taking a piece of paper, writes down the information, then passes it on to her.
Rebecca takes this and then reads it.
The Goddard Rubric. Supposedly translated from a sheath of ancient scrolls by Aloysius Goddard in the AD 1796. This book describes an ancient sect devoted to shepherding the children of Seth. through a series of calamities brought about by the monsters that secretly prey on humanity. The rubric is popular with the idealistic weeping moons who truly believe in the necessity of shaping the world to their purposes. The Trismegistus. This is a magician's work. A collection of notes on the magic practices, from hermetics, alchemy, numerology, and astrology to rude fertility rites. The Trismegistus is the foundation for much of the Saturnal practices. Its often obscene content is typically concealed beneath a black leather cover with a distinctive sigil. And then there's the Diaries of Zerny. This legitimately powerful code is another foundational work in the practice of the main Saturnal. The Diaries of Zerny detail rules and formulae for summoning and controlling powerful spirits. No printed works exist. Each one is hand-copied, personalized, and often encoded. Thomas's ritual comes from a piece of this.
You'll also write that down. Once he's done with that, he will pass these notes on to Miss Thorne and sit back.
Anima, an ancient moon Saturnal. The Anima path delves into the minds of others, particularly the secrets they hold close.
Thomas would be able to see a smile begin to creep across Rebecca's lips before she once again looks back to Thomas. Are you familiar with the location of any of these texts?
I believe they are kept on Mr. Tobias's person, or in his personal manor. More specifically, his library. But again, I do not believe I have everything.
Would this be his personal library, or accessible to the members of the Weeping Moon?
Accessible to the members, though I would not be surprised if he has a personal library. He keeps the more in-depth information or delicate items.
Setting down the piece of paper on the table, Rebecca would once again lean back into the sofa. You've done very well with acquiring all of this, Mr. O'Connell. There is, however, something else I would ask of you.
Sitting up, O'Connell would ask, of course, what is it that you would require?
Something rather unrelated from the subject matter. I require you to obtain a bone from Highgate Cemetery. One belonging to someone who's been dead over 200 years.
We both have access to Highgate Cemetery. Is there a particular reason you require me to do this?
Because I will be busy this evening, Mr. O'Connell.
Of course. 200 years, you say?
Dead at least 200 years.
Do you require any particular bone of the body?
Wits and alertness. Rebecca is familiar with a couple of people in the cemetery who are 200 years old. A sailor who was wrongfully buried there. They thought it was someone else who died on the ship, frankly. As well as a lesser noble, son of a viscount. And then there's one that you've often seen occasionally walking around in full armor. He's a bit crabby, frankly. He, in fact, fought with Oliver Cromwell. Admittedly, by taking the bone of a ghost, you will likely anger them. It also could give them easy access to fucking with you, or knowing where you are at all times.
Rebecca would provide Thomas with a list of names of ghosts that she's aware of, and to avoid robbing their bones. What I would wish is that you procure a bone, preferably a small thing, not large.
Highgate is not a place for old bones, though it does have a few old bodies that were moved there. The ideal place for old bones would probably be further in South London. It's best to look around the areas of the Marble Arch, Tyburn Tree, admittedly one or two places within Hyde Park. Best place he could probably go would be the Bedlam Burial Mound, which is south of the Thames, the Royal Mint Cemetery, or the Holywell Mound. Admittedly, the Bedlam Mound could draw attention to himself. Well, it would be the least likely to draw attention to himself. To not anger a spirit, traditionally a smart thing to do is not to take anything that belongs to the spirit. The other thing is not every dead body results in a ghost. He could always look for anyone who may have been buried under the Tower of London. Most people avoid it because they think it's haunted. Common sense, Thomas. The Harvest Moons will do what he tells them. They are the kind of people who he could tell to murder and rape people, and they will do it. They could also be employed.
Is that all, Mr. O'Connell?
Thomas would arch his brow. If that's all you require and that is all you sent me for, then yes. He bows his head.
Rebecca would then nod. And have a good evening, Mr. O'Connell.
Reaching over and grabbing his stick, Mr. O'Connell would stand up. Inclining his head deeply, he would say, "You too, Miss Thorne."
She would pick up one of the papers to have a read over it again. And as he's getting up, she would remind him not to forget to have brought that book here by tomorrow night.
And with that, end scene.